Hey friends, so I have been a little absent from my channel for the most part, like pretty much most of this year. Okay, so maybe not most of the year. Excuse me, but definitely definitely a good part of the year. So I figured that it's time for some life updates. So let's get into updating. And yes, I'm on here with not a lick of makeup on because I may or may not start crying during this life update. So why smudge? You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and get into some updates. Okay, so these updates are going to be like very general in addition to very, very specific. The first thing that I want to share is y'all, um, I have got three like published patterns. Lucky number three, and that is so important and very, very cool to me. So I wanted to just show all three of my covers because I'm so proud of them. So you all already know about my fall pattern, Emmy 2015, which is a sweetheart top with pants. I love this so much. Those pants are my absolute favorite pants to make. Then we did early spring with this bustier and skirt. We've got some really fun hacks planned for this. By we, I mean me. But again, life has been lifing, and you'll see why we haven't gotten around to those just yet. And then the pattern that is getting ready to drop. Oh my goodness. Very, very excited about this one as well. And we've got ME 2028, which features a crop top out of a woven fabric again, in addition to some pants that have button fly. So, yeah, I have really been on a mission to give the plus size girlies the option to go into Joann's and buy the fabric scraps that are a yard or less, or about a yard, and be able to make something with, right? Because they always have really great remnants, and oftentimes we just can't make anything from it because, like, if you're plus size, you'd be like, what am I gonna do with a yard? Like, blend it with another yard and hopefully color block, or hopefully be able to find something that goes along with it. And if you can't, then you're just like left with this 1 yard remnant, right? Well, now with these two patterns specifically, you can definitely make the entire top out of a yard. And then if you're into color blocking, then you can definitely use the yard for the solid part of this. So again, I'm just trying to give my plus size besties the opportunity for us to go into Joann's and just buy scraps, right? Who could use a like custom fit top that costs like $10 to make, right? If it's not you, then it should be. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. So we've got that life update out of the way. So proud of myself because this has been quite a journey. Another life update is y'all, I'm drafting myself. So this process has taught me that I love designing, right? I love it so much. Like, I love being able to go in and I love being able to really be able to design a cohesive wardrobe, right? So one of the things that I actually go around and speak about is how to have a cohesive wardrobe, not necessarily a capsule wardrobe, because I don't want to lie to the people and say I'm a minimalist in any way, shape, or form, because that's not my truth yet. But all of these patterns together, you can create things. And y'all, my summer patterns, fire. So when those come out, they will be added to the capsule wardrobe, right? So for example, you've got these pants that you can put on with this top or this top. You've got this skirt that you can wear with any of these items. When you decide on what kind of fabric that you want to use, you really are able to take it all the way to the next level. And I know it's like, but Aaronica, you've only done wovens. Here's the really good thing about woven patterns. You can use them with knits too. So with my first pattern, which was the fall pattern, I turned my top into a sweatshirt. I'm getting ready to turn it into a button down or a zipper down jacket. Why? Because who doesn't want like a little puff sleeve situation jacket? It's me. I want it. Even with this skirt, for the sew along for this skirt, I used the Ponte knit. Yes, I put in an invisible zipper because that's what the pattern called for, but do I need one? No, because I can just slide that up over these lovely lady lumps very easily. So you can substitute each of these patterns in with a knit. So definitely choose your fabric wisely and go ahead and make sure that you're purchasing these patterns. Okay, friends? Also, like I said, I'm drafting the patterns because I love designing. The pattern drafting process has been a time. It's not bad. I had to kind of re-get to know Illustrator so that way it was a lot easier for me to do these things, everything like that. So that is our first update. Coffee break. Okay. Our second update. Let's get into it. So, one of the things that I'm working to do is actually create more fabrics as well. So, working with, I'm looking to work with and just for now publish them up on Spoonflower's website so people can kind of purchase them as they see fit. But what I'm doing, y'all, I'm speaking into existence that I'm going to have a partnership for design with somebody's fabric company sometime soon. I'm speaking it into existence because that's what I want. I definitely feel like I am not even tapping into like a third of my creativity. And this year, I'm really dedicated to living, just not being, oh, she could be greater or living in potential. I'm working on living in actual creativity in actual things. So I have been working on designing some fabrics. Y'all, it is not as easy as you would think. I actually recently just did a partnership with Spoonflower with my middle daughter, and she designed some fabric. And y'all, let me tell you, trying to create that and turn that into a seamless pattern, insert Marlo Hampton's "Today Drained Me," because listen, your girl was struggling. Okay, we made it happen. We made it happen. So that's update number 2. I'm also working on my podcast. It's going to launch very, very soon. How do I know that? Not because I've actually done any recording. I'm about to start, but I'm speaking it into existence. Again, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. Okay. If you hadn't heard, I've also been teaching about projector sewing. So if you are someone who is like, Aaronica, I really am interested about projector sewing. I don't have a projector. I've got a projector 101 class where we talk about and go over why projectors are really great, how you can use a projector in the space that you have set up because there's multiple setups that you can have. And we do a deep dive into that. We go into how to calibrate the projector once you have it, just some very quick and easy tips. Then I have a second projector class in which we get into the nitty gritty of how you modify the patterns so that you can permanently make fixes to them. So instead of having to do, say, a full bust adjustment every single time or trying to figure out how to do that, if you make those adjustments, I'm teaching how you can make those adjustments to the pattern pieces themselves digitally. So whenever you project that pattern, it is made perfect for you. So those classes are already listed. I've got another one coming up on the weekend of April 29th. Maybe it's April 28th. It's whatever that Saturday is. But someone said to me, hey, Aaronica, I would really be able to attend if it was during the week. So we're looking into that. But in addition to teaching classes, this is the update that's aligned with that, is y'all, we're going to have summer business school for creatives. So what does that mean, Aaronica? That means that we will be doing summer school classes and you can enroll for the entire school, or you can pick and choose the classes that you feel like you really need and do an a la carte type of deal. I am so excited about that. I'm going to be working on that website probably Thursday or Friday of this week. So expect for that to launch very, very soon. I will definitely include a link below once that is up and running. Okay. So now let's get into a bigger update, just a bigger life update. Another coffee break. So this is something that I have shared. I've shared it on my social media platforms. So if you follow me there, then you may or may not have already heard this. But in January, I finally took the time to go get my pap smear done. After it was my first pap smear after having my IUD implanted, after having my 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old. Listen, judge somebody else, okay? I have a monogamous relationship with my husband. And not saying I don't need a pap smear, but whatever, I digress. So I went in January, I found a really dope provider and I was so excited. One of the things about being plus size and going to the doctor is a lot of times we don't want to go to the doctor because we don't want to feel fat shamed, right? When you go to the doctor, it's a really intimate space. Like, we know that we're going for checkups, we know that we're going for these things. And when a lot of doctors see bigger body people, the immediate thought is to not listen to what they are saying, but just assume everything has to do with your weight, right? And that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to just be seen as a number on the scale, especially as you're trying to see yourself as more than just a number on the scale, right? And I just haven't had the best experiences with doctors, especially in the Atlanta area. So I was really excited to find a doctor who I loved. When I told her that I had hidradenitis suppurativa, she was like, yeah, I see that. You're doing a really great job. Like, do you have any active flares? And right now I have put myself in remission naturally. So I don't have any active flares. So also, hand clap for me. Okay. But while I was in there, I saw this advertisement. It was a poster, and it was to get the genetic testing done for to see if you have a cancer mutation. And I was like looking at this poster, and I was talking to the nurse, and I was like, wow, I have a lot of cancer in my family. And she was like, oh, you should really talk to the doctor about having the test done. So when the doctor came in, I was talking to her as well. And I was telling her, sorry, my cats are just over here behaving like kittens. Like, beat it. So I was talking to her, and I was just like, hey, yeah, I've had quite a bit of breast cancer. At the time, I only knew about the breast cancer that was on my mom's side of the family. And I was like, yeah, like every generation has it. It's pretty prevalent. And so as I was talking to her, they have like this qualification kind of test that you have to take on their website, and it ends up that I qualified. And so she drew my blood, and she was like, you'll find out if your insurance will cover it based off of, the questionnaire that you answered, but, we'll send off your blood to have it done anyway. That was January. February, I got a notice from my insurance company saying that they covered it. And I was like, yes, wonderful. If your insurance company doesn't cover it, it's $250 out of pocket. Is it a lot of money? Yes and no. Like, it can be a lot if you just don't have a couple $100s sitting around. But it's, if you have that type of income, it may not be a lot. I highly recommend getting the test though. Excuse me. And so I was like, okay, cool. I haven't heard anything from the doctor though. So I must be in the clear. Y'all, false. But I had already wrapped my mind around that I was in the clear. So when I got the call in March that I needed to come in because my test results were serious, I didn't process it the greatest, right? Earlier this year, I had a really bad cold. So I started January off with a really bad cold. It wasn't COVID, it wasn't the flu, but it took me about 2.5 weeks to shake it, right? And I was super sick. I felt awful. And then a week after that, I found out that I had E. coli, meaning that, like, y'all, I was Hershey squirting all over the place. Okay, so it was only in the toilet, but either way, I could not be far from the toilet at all, right? Like, I would eat or drink, and literally, it would just immediately come out 5 minutes later. I know that's a lot of information, but y'all, we're friends here. And so that was a problem for 2 weeks. Like, I was in a lot of pain with that, and then it took a month for my body to essentially fully recover. And so, like, literally, as soon as I recovered 2 weeks later, like, I'm thinking I'm ready to live my best life, lose weight, exercise, because again, I started out January. I was like, yo, I'm going to be so healthy before I turn 40. My 40th birthday is in July, y'all. And I was like, I'm going to chase it. I'm going to chase my goals. I'm going to be super healthy. Yes, I've got this. And then I get the diagnosis that I tested positive for BRCA2, which is a gene mutation that is linked to breast cancer, ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, as well as skin cancer. My mind was blown, and I did not know how to process it. I later have found out that not only does breast cancer run prevalent on my mom's side, but it also is pretty big on my dad's side, as is pancreatic and ovarian cancer. To the point where I didn't know, and this is something that I feel like culturally that Black people do, right? We generally speaking do not, we don't share our health ailments, and we should, right? Like, I should have known that my aunt, who is my dad's big sister, I should have known that she was diagnosed with breast cancer in her 40s, right? And that it metastasized and it spread throughout her body. And ultimately, that was what killed her. I should have known that because I'm a carrier of that gene now. I should have known it sooner so that I could have been screened sooner, so that I could have had the opportunity to make some decisions possibly sooner, or I could have been better prepared for this. So I say that, and I insert that to say, keep family records of family diseases, family ailments, things like that, so that you're always in the know. So I went to the doctor and I was a little numb. And because at the time the doctor just kind of had to give me the test results. She's not the genetic counselor. She's not the person who I had to talk to about ultimately making the decision. But my doctor's office is amazing. They set me up 3 weeks later to meet with a breast tissue specialist in the Atlanta area. And also, she was amazing. But processing it, like processing having the gene was hard, right? Because at the time I didn't know how serious it was or how serious it wasn't, because she didn't tell me it was BRCA2. Like, I was just like, okay, so there's a gene mutation. I've got it. Like, this is a lot. I also had my mammogram in February. For the record, my breasts look amazing in a mammogram. I was like, God damn, them titties look great. Again, I digress. My mammogram came back clear, so right now I don't have any active breast cancer. So, I went to the breast tissue specialist and I was talking to her. We talked a lot about the different options. If you're like, oh, well, what options are there for prevention? Please check out the blog post that I've written about this at aaronicabcole.com. I've linked the direct post below, as far as detailing the options available if you are also someone who tests positive for BRCA2 or BRCA1, or if you're just wondering, what the possibilities are. I've shared more about that in detail there. The doctor was fantastic. She was amazing. You could tell that she does this on the regular because she was able to give great detail into all of this. And as we talked, I was very clear. In fact, my husband and I had talked about it before. And he was like, would you do a double mastectomy? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, they're boobs, right? I have breastfed all three of my children. You know what I mean? My breasts have provided nourishment for all three of my babies. They have nurtured them. They have been pillows for my husband on his hard days. You know what I mean? I have shown them off in sports bras and other things as often as I want to. They've served their purpose. You know what I mean? So making the decision to get a double mastectomy wasn't a hard one. Why? And this is emotional for me because I've watched people with breast cancer pass away. In my blog post, I mentioned how I was friends with Renee from My So-Called Mommy Life. And she was one of the kindest people. She was just very nice. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015. And, she had young kids. And I watched her go through chemo and stuff like that. And I would talk to her and encourage her and stuff like that. And it was so hard to watch her go through. And I just know that if in 2014, she was like told that she could, if she just went ahead and had this double mastectomy, that she could get longer with her kids, she would have chosen that. Same thing with my aunt. She was also my godmother. And she was someone who was super supportive of me when I was pregnant with my oldest. And I didn't know at all that she had cancer until a month before she passed. And I saw her, I think about other people who have had preventable cancer. And I say preventable very loosely because there are some cancers that are passed down genetically, and that there are some that are also not, some are environmental. But I think about the people who had the preventable cancers, like, what would they do, right? And I have 3 young kids, and I am happily married, and I want more years with my family, So people have said to me, I know it's probably a hard decision to make. It wasn't. it wasn't it wasn't a hard decision. Like, I want to see my kids grow up. You know, my kids have already gone through so much with this pandemic. You know, they've already had so much robbed from them. They've had, you know, just so much happen as a result of that. I don't want to potentially mar, you know, any more of their life by having to kind of deal with their mom going through chemo or their mom battling breast cancer. And I don't want them to be affected by that. You know what I mean? And so, um, I don't want to watch my husband, like, watch me suffer. Um, I just love them so much that choosing to live is just the only option for me. You know, choosing to live, but very much so with less anxiety about this, and choosing to live with a fuller life, right? And choosing to have more fun, and choosing to not be overcome with the anxiety that comes with the idea that at any point in time I could potentially test positive, or I could potentially come back as having cancer, right? And knowing me, I would end up getting like stage 4 cancer and not even know, because I was running around and doing all the things and making sure everyone else was taken care of versus making sure that I was taken care of. And y'all, that's not what I want. You know, like, I'm a busybody and I know it, and I love being a busybody. Like, I love being able to support my village. I love being able to show up for people. That is something that feeds me. That's something that fuels me. And I don't want something that's going to take away from the life that I've set up that I love living. So, that's the big update, is that on June 5th, I will be having a double mastectomy. I've opted to have a reconstruction. The reconstruction piece is the part that I think is the most difficult for me, because there are so many different options out there, right? There's the deep flap, where it's essentially a fat transfer, where they take fat from another part of your body and put it into your breast. And I'm like, oh, are you offering me a tummy tuck at the same time? But then also the recovery for that is longer and harder. And again, my birthday is July 20th. I don't necessarily want to still be recovering them, if I'm being completely honest, right? Then it's like, oh, you get expanders, and then we just fill them until you say stop. Then you got to sit with it for 4 months, and then you decide what you want to do. So it's, you know, it's just a lot to be thinking about, to be processing. But the decision to have the mastectomy was not a hard one, right? That was easy. So now what, right? At this point in time, it's like, now what's going on? As of today, it is Wednesday, April 26th. It is also my best friend's birthday, so I got to text her and send her a little something. But I've met with my plastic surgeon. I had my initial consultation with him, and we vibed. He is amazing, and I am very much so looking forward to him doing this surgery. Again, it's also hard because, like, people are recommending their surgeons, and I feel like I don't want to say I'm a people pleaser, because I feel like the time has passed for that for me. But I'm also very much so like, oh, well, maybe I should. And I struggle with making decisions, right? But I like the decision that my doctor, she suggested that I work with him. I like the boobs that I've seen that he's done. Like, I went on his website, and I was feeling a little down after I met with him, because, you know, after you have the surgery, like, you lose a lot of feeling. Like, I will never have like nipple sensation again. You lose a lot of the feeling on the tops of your breasts and just kind of all over your breasts. And honestly, that's a lot to deal with. And I was feeling a little bit down after that. But my baby cousin, and yes, I still call her my baby cousin. She's 10 years younger than me. So she's turning 30 this year. So I guess she's not a baby, but she FaceTimed me, and she's always had this energy. And I joked with her, even when we were on FaceTime, that she's always had this very audacious energy. Like, she doesn't think that, I don't think that she thinks that negativity exists, right? Like, But she FaceTimed me and she gave me what I needed, and that was the energy and that was the positive outlook on what's happening. She recently had her breasts done. Um she had a boob job to make her boobs bigger. And in fact, I texted her and I was like, "Hey girl, I think you should get this genetic test done as well." Because she is she's the only female cousin that I have from this side of the family. And talking to her just put a lot in perspective. She was so giddy. She was so excited for me. She's like, "You're going to get new boobs." And I'm like, "I'm going to get new boobs." And y'all, I definitely wanted a boob job. I didn't want them to be bigger. I just wanted them to be lifted. So in essence, I am getting that done. And in truth, like, I'm happy. I'm happy that I am able to make this choice. I'm happy that I'm able to just be recovering from having a double mastectomy with reconstruction as opposed to having a double mastectomy from having cancer, right? So things are a little bit different. So I'm happy that I get to make this decision. Now I am focusing on making sure that I have clothes to wear after I have it, because as it turns out, y'all, I don't really wear a lot of button downs at all, or a lot of like slide your arm through type of things. I've recently started going down the rabbit hole of looking at other BRCA survivors and taking a look at the things that they've done, or hear them talk about what that has been. It's been a little hard because I haven't really seen, I don't want to say the information that I needed, but I feel like I want more, right? So anyway, I'll be obviously documenting my journey through this, so that if someone who is nervous about getting their genetic test done, or is nervous about going through this process, or who needs a little bit of encouragement, that is what this content will be. I've already made one piece, which I'll put a picture of it here, for my post mastectomy. It is a like a little kimono style. And what I've heard was that you should put pockets for the drains in there so that they have some place to sit, so they aren't just dangling. That the dangling was really distracting. So I'm working on what I consider to be my rich auntie recovery wardrobe. If you have pattern suggestions or anything like that, definitely taking them, so drop them below. But I'm working on creating a wardrobe for recovery that feels good and makes me feel beautiful. I will not be able to raise my arms for a while. So that means hair-wise, I'm gonna be looking a little like this, right? Because I'm fresh from the bed. Yes, fresh from the bed, because I want to give y'all the update that I've been postponing for what feels like forever. And then, I wanted to also make it so that when I look in the mirror at myself recovering, I don't feel as bad as I won't look as bad as I feel. I had a surgery in 2008. It was a surgery to remove the networking of tubes that had built up as a result of having hidradenitis suppurativa, and that recovery was hard. It was hard on me mentally, it was hard on me emotionally, it was hard on me physically. What made it really hard is, one, I didn't really have the support of my practice husband then. And yes, I said practice husband, judge someone else. I also did not feel beautiful. And I think that a lot of times people sleep on the impact of how we feel about ourselves and how that impacts our healing. The only thing that I could wear were his sweats and his like oversized t-shirts and stuff like that. And I felt like a bum. Like, I felt like I looked like a bum. I felt like a bum. I didn't feel like myself. So I'm going to be making a concerted effort to make what I call rich auntie attire, right? The rich, fabulous auntie who is like gliding through the room. That is going to be my goal. So we're talking about easy to wear pull-on pants that have like little matching like kimonos that come down to the floor. And I might not even spend a lot of time dressed. That's not the point. The point is that when I do dress, or if I do want to put something on, I feel beautiful in what I wear. So that's what I'm working on now. I do have a pre-op appointment coming up with my plastic surgeon before it's going to be in May. I plan on having a bye-bye boobie party with some friends. We're going to just be saying bye-bye to my boobs. My boobs will be covered, so there will be footage of that. And then I am going to do a celebratory photo shoot with one of my really good friends and coaching clients, who's going to document that as well. And I feel like that's important because I'm not ashamed of my breasts. I'm not ashamed of what I'm going through. And I want to celebrate everything that my body has done and will continue to do. So, yeah, that's the update. Um, so join me on the journey. Thanks for sticking with me.